Here are today's headlines. COMELEC announces it is nearly ready for the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections this May. PHIVOX observes Mayon volcano as lava flow inches towards the permanent danger zone. The House Committee invites former President Noynoy Aquino to the next hearing on the Dimvaxia vaccine. The Commission on Appointments confirms Francisco Duque as Health Secretary. Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, announced that preparations are nearly complete for the Barangay and SK elections set this May. COMELEC and the Department of the Interior and Local Government called for support in the government's activities that will encourage the public to choose good barangay and youth leaders. Here's our report.
The Commission on Elections is 85% ready for the conduct of the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections on May 14, with exactly 96 days to go. COMELEC spokesperson James Arthur Jimenez admitted that the poll body still had concerns in Mindanao, where preparations could not be speeded up. Mindanao was placed under martial law on May 23 last year as the Islamic State-inspired Maute group terrorized the city of Marawi for almost 5 months. In a joint media conference with the COMELEC, Martin Dino, DILG Undersecretary for Barangay Affairs, said continuous preparations for the May elections were underway. Related activities such as the DILG's nationwide campaign for the so-called Matino, Mahusay at Maaasahan Barangay and SK officials are also in full swing to encourage the public to vote for good leaders. Meanwhile, DILG Assistant Secretary for Communication and Public Affairs Jonathan E. Malaya urged the media to be a partner in moving the Filipino voting public to go to the polling precincts and exercise their right to vote. Malaya said that the Matino, Mahusay at Maaasahan campaign will also be brought to the DILG's regional and field offices. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondo.
At least 3 major gullies in the southeast quadrant of Mayon volcano are now filled with lava flows that are moving to the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone, or no man's land. Cedric Diap, chief of the Albay Public Safety Emergency Management Office, said they were expecting more volcanic debris to be ejected by the restive volcano in the coming days if its present behavior would continue. Diap said the southeast quadrant and southwest portion are now almost filled with volcanic deposits as the ejection of molten materials continues without let-up since January 13. Edla Guerta, PHIVOX resident volcanologist in Bicol, said the volcano had ejected at least 53 million cubic meters of volcanic materials, and they were expecting 40 to 50 million cubic meters more to be released by Mayon. Meanwhile, at least 18,000 families are still sheltered in various evacuation camps of the 3 cities and 6 towns in Albay affected by the eruption. Diap said authorities will decamp the evacuees once Alert Level 2 is declared by PHIVOX. President Duterte graced the 45th anniversary celebration of the National Economic Development Authority. The president urged NEDA to help achieve his administration's goal of prosperity for the country. Here's our report.
President Rodrigo Duterte said he is counting on the National Economic Development Authority to achieve his goal of a prosperous Philippines in the remaining 4 years of his administration. In his speech during the 45th anniversary of NEDA, he expressed confidence that the administration can realize its vision of a prosperous Philippines with NEDA at the helm. Duterte commended the hardworking men and women of NEDA for their dedication and commitment in shaping the country's socio-economic agenda in the past 4 decades. He lauded the streamlining of guidelines in the processing and approval of flagship projects and the creation of a task force to ensure the timely implementation and integration of the 15 regional development plans. He noted these as some of the undertakings that uphold the integrity and efficiency of the administration's national development agenda. He also cited boosting development in the regions, including jobs, social services, and encouraging innovation to build on the government's gains in line with the national development agenda. The president, meanwhile, encouraged the Neda family, led by Director General Ernesto Peña, to join him in his fight against graft and corruption by upholding good governance. He also vowed to ensure that public interest remains at the heart of all government plans, projects, and programs. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Giselle Danganan.
More than 40 new People's Army rebel surrenderers who are in Manila for a 3-day tour have expressed their desire to join the military. 701st Infantry Brigade Commander Brigadier General Ruben James Basiao said the request is being considered and evaluated by the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Basiao stressed that procedures that former NPA rebels need to undertake in joining the military are similar to that being administered to civilians. There are currently 215 surrendered rebels from Eastern Mindanao who are in tour in Manila. President Rodrigo Duterte earlier pledged to bring these former rebels to Malacanang and tour the city of Manila during his visit in Panacan, Davao City. The goal is to awaken the surrendered NPAs to a better perspective in life, particularly in peace building and nationalism. President Rodrigo Duterte signed an executive order expediting the rehabilitation projects in the Marawi City's affected areas. Executive Order 49 underscored the urgent need to exempt the National Housing Authority from the National Economic and Development Authority guidelines on joint venture agreements. EO 49 will simplify documentary requirements and procedures to hasten the start of rehabilitation projects. The executive order also states that all agreements to be entered into by the NHA shall comply with guidelines issued under the supervision of the Housing and Urban Development Coordinating Council. Rehabilitation efforts in Marawi City are currently being undertaken by national government agencies led by the HUD-C, with the NHA as an attached agency. The HUD-C is the head of Task Force Bangon Marawi. Still to come, a House committee invites former President Noynoy Aquino to the next hearing on the Dengvaxia controversy. Prices of basic goods in East Visayas reportedly remain stable amid added taxes from the train law. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Kayo lang ay may alam kung kailan ang auction. Binabastos na yung Pilipino. Kaya ganun. Marami kayong kotse, patapos pag-auction, bigyan kayo ng papel, legal na, mura pa. Ang gawin ko, ngayong Tuesday, manood kayo sa pera ninyo. Kayong tanang luxury car nga gi-import, paligsan ko na o i-bulldozer ko na karong Tuesday.
Jaguar, ito'y nangangahulugan na sa ilalim ng administrasyon ni Presidente Duterte at Commissioner Peña ay walang sinasanto. At ang mga smuggler na nagpapadala ng mga sakyan dito illegally ay dadaan dito sa area na ito, uulihin, pupultisin, wawasakin para ipakita sa buong mundo na hindi po kinukonsente ang smuggling dito sa bansa natin.
This smuggling, this has been going on. Ang history natin is for centuries na. Even the cosmos is more than a century. So itong smuggling ito, this kind of racket has been going on again and again and again over a period of centuries. Well, it has to stop.
Ito ang mapapala ng mga smuggler ng mga luxury vehicles dito po sa Pilipinas under the Duterte administration. Mawasak, madudurog po ang mga sakyan na ipapasok nyo sa bansa na hindi pinagbabayad na tamang buwis. Lahat po na ito sa Manila, iba pa yung nasa Davao, iba pa po na Cebu. At part 1 pa lang ito. Meron pang part 2 ng wrecking of all smuggled vehicles dito po sa Bureau of Customs.
House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability has invited former President Benigno Aquino III to its next hearing on the controversial anti-dengue vaccine, Dengvaxia. Former Health Secretary Janet Garin and incumbent Health Secretary Francisco Duque earlier attended the Dengvaxia hearing headed by Congressman Johnny Pimentel of Surigao del Sur. Under the Aquino administration, the Philippines became the first country in the world to launch a public inoculation plan against dengue in April 2016. The DOH has since suspended the anti-dengue immunization drive after pharmaceutical giant Sanofi Pasteur conceded that Dengvaxia could worsen symptoms in vaccinated children who contracted the disease for the first time. More than 700,000 Filipino school children had already received their Dengvaxia shots by the time the DOH suspended the immunization drive. The Northern Luzon Command expressed readiness to perform its mandate on maritime security in light of President Duterte's directive to restrict access to the Philippine rice. NOLCOM spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Isagani Nato said it will continue its mandate of monitoring Filipino vessels as well as foreign vessels such as the Chinese ships within Philippine territory. NATO added that they were still conducting maritime and air patrols in waters under the operational jurisdiction of NOLCOM, along with the Coast Guard, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, and Philippine National Police Maritime Group. NOLCOM has yet to receive orders related to the President's directive to drive away any foreign vessels or ships conducting research or any other activities in the Philippine rice. As of now, they are still to receive reports on the presence of foreign ships coasting along the area. NOLCOM conducts 3 to 4 patrol missions in maritime areas under its control. Telecom giant PLDT is set to return its unused radio frequency back to the government. The unused frequency will be set aside for the third telecom company expected to be launched in the country next month. Here's our report.
President Rodrigo Duterte thanked Philippine Long-Distance Telephone Company for giving back its unused radio frequency at no cost to the government. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said Duterte expressed his appreciation to the PLDT upon learning that it agreed to surrender frequency it acquired from telco operator Connectivity Unlimited Resource Enterprises or CURE in 2011. PLDT made the decision to surrender CURE frequency after Duterte threatened to send tax auditors to the telecommunication companies. The president had expressed displeasure over reports that PLDT Incorporated asked for 3 billion pesos for the return of its unused 3G frequencies to the government. The CURE frequency will be awarded to the third telecom player, which the government is expected to announce by March. Roque said it is clear to the president that the whole nation will benefit with the entry of the third carrier. PLDT and Globe Telecom make up the duopoly of telecom carriers in the country. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Philippine Cervantes.
Prices of basic commodities remain stable in Eastern Visayas despite implementation of the tax reform for acceleration and inclusion or TRAIN. Department of Trade and Industry Regional Director Cynthia Nieras said there had been no movement of prices since early January. Nieras explained manufacturers were committed not to adjust prices because of the impact of oil price increases is of no significance to them. She added the DTI continuously monitored prices in major shops to ensure that any increase would be within the suggested retail price. In Leyte Province, the DTI noted a very minimal increase in the retail price of a brand of canned sardines, processed milk, coffee, instant noodles, and bar soap. Meanwhile, prices of many basic products increased in Biliran after Tropical Storm Urduha due to logical problems, but this has nothing to do with TRAIN law. President Duterte signed the TRAIN into law on December 2017. The TRAIN will provide hefty income tax cuts for a majority of taxpayers while raising additional taxes to help support the government's accelerated spending on its programs. As classes resume in Marawi City, the Department of Science and Technology pushed for a curriculum that encourages more students to take up science-related courses. Here's our report.
The Department of Science and Technology tied up with the Mindanao State University main campus and Iligan Institute of Technology to implement the DOST SEI Bangon Marawi program in Science and Technology Human Resources Development. A signing of Memorandum of Agreement for Bangon Marawi program was held in MSU Marawi main campus and attended by campus academic heads, MSU faculty members and staff, DOST scholarship grantees, and member agencies of the Task Force Bangon Marawi. The project has allotted 200 slots for the baccalaureate degree programs, 20 for graduate school, and 10 for the postgraduate. The said program aims to generate expansion of students' growth by advancing education curriculum that focuses heavily on the subjects of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Secretary Fortunato de la Peña of DOST stated that agency's Bangon Marawi program sustains a lasting contribution especially to the rehabilitation and recovery of the war-torn city. For PNA Newsroom, Laid Kabagani, Philippine Information Agency.
Up next, law enforcers arrest 4 South Koreans suspected of carnapping. The Commission on Appointments confirms Francisco Duque as Health Secretary. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Muling nagkaroon ng kambalingan sa Marawi City at 3 barangay ay binuksan at maaari nang bumalik ang mga residente sa kani-kanilang tahanan. Ito ay ang Panggaw Saduk, Lilod Saduk at Raya Saduk. Subalit mayroon pa rin kaunting suliranin ang iilang residente, partikular sa Lilod Saduk, sa kadahilan ng may mga bahay na sakop ng mga nasabing barangay na hindi pinahintulutan ng AFP na mauwian dahil sa kasali sa no entry portion na dineklara ng AFP. Sa katunayan ay may nakaharang na checkpoint o barikada sa nasabing barangay kung kaya't di mapasukan ng may-ari ang kani-kanilang bahay. Pinaliwanag naman ni Deputy Commander Colonel Romeo Browner kung bakit di pa nila maaaring tirhan ang kanilang tahanan sa kadahilan ng ito'y sakop ng posibleng radius kung sakaling pumutok ang mga di pa nare-recover na mga bomba. Kapakanan pa rin ng mga residente ang kanilang pangunahing inaalala hanggang sa kasalukuyan upang maiwasan ang anumang posibleng aksidenteng maaaring maganap. Samantala, nakapanayam natin si Dr. Gunaran Mapandi Jr., taga-Lilod Saduk at may-ari ng Mapandi Memorial Hospital. Ito ay ang kanyang panawagan sa task force.
We are thankful yung mga residents na nakabalik na. But I hope the Bangon Marawi will again move this barricade near the new bridge. Para naman makabalik yung mga ibang residents na kasi masakit din sa kanila eh. Yung kapitbahay mo, nakapasok tapos ikaw, nakikita mo lang yung bahay mo, hindi mo mapasukan. So, we ask the Bangon Marawi, sana ASAP, makabalik din yung mga ibang residents na tawa naman po sila.
Ayon din kay Mapandi ay kanilang ina-assess ang kanilang ospital upang ito'y kanilang muling mapagana at maging operational at functional.
Slowly, we will try to see the hospital and the school ASAP, as soon as possible. We have to open, to let it operate, to make it normal, functional again.
Para sa Bayan, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Four South Korean nationals were arrested for alleged carnapping by operatives of the National Bureau of Investigation. NBI Director Dante Giran identified the suspects as Young Tae-yoon, Byung-mook Han, Kim Min-dong, and Park Hyun. Giran said the suspects were arrested during an entrapment operation conducted by the NBI Anti-Organized and Transnational Crime Division. The victim, who refused to be identified, said Park, a tour guide, had in his custody a Ford EcoSport and a Kia Picanto which she owned. The suspects demanded 1 million pesos and 360,000 pesos interest, which she was supposed to bring at Casino Filipino, Manila Bay. The suspects were arrested as soon as they took the marked money and are now facing charges of carnapping. Francisco Duque III has been confirmed by the Commission on Appointments as the new Secretary of the Department of Health. Duque's confirmation was endorsed by CA Committee Chair Senator Gregorio Onasan. Duque was appointed by President Duterte to the post on October 26. During his confirmation hearings, Duque outlined the CA, the Department of Health's 5-year heightened surveillance plan for over 800,000 children who received Dengvaxia. He added that PhilHealth is prepared to shoulder the cost should a vaccinated child be hospitalized due to dengue. Duque served as health secretary from 2005 to 2010 during the Arroyo administration. He was appointed chairman of the Civil Service Commission from 2010 to 2015. In February 2017, he was appointed by Duterte to head the government service insurance system. Duque was also PhilHealth president and CEO from 2001 to 2005. Special Assistant to the President Christopher Bongo shot down insinuations that he is running for senator. Go clarified that he has no political plans after President Duterte jokingly mentioned he was aiming for the Senate. Go requested that the public hearing on the 15.5 billion peso frigate project of the Department of National Defense to be conducted by the Senate to clear the matter once and for all. Opposition lawmakers and Duterte critics dragged his name into the issue with accusations that he intervened in the selection of a supplier for the Philippine Navy's new warship. Go vowed to clear his name and prove that all allegations against him were not true. In celebration of Emilio Aguinaldo's birth anniversary, a group in Cavite is launching an educational series that will highlight the province's culture, heritage, and legacy of heroism. Here's our report.
The Cavite Historical Society will launch an educational series on Cavite's history and heritage on March 22 as part of the commemoration activities for the 150th birth anniversary of General Emilio Aguinaldo. CHS President and former Prime Minister Cesar Virata said the project comprises 12 modules for the first collection series, which seeks to relive and re-highlight the gallantry of Caviteño heroes who fought the Spanish rule until the declaration of the country's independence in 1898. The educational series also aims to preserve Cavite's rich cultural heritage by focusing on Cavite's historical sites and churches, history of cities and towns, the origin of the province's customs and traditions, and its significant role in World War II. The CHS intends to benefit Cavite teachers and students as well as the provincial and local governments and the private sector. Philippine Historical Society President Dr. Emmanuel Calairos said the 12 modules specifically designed for the target public from elementary to high school and college students. The CHS, established in 1977, continuously advocates to highlight and preserve Cavite's rich history and culture, especially to young Caviteños. The society is also engaged in various programs and publishes various literature to promote the Caviteños' role in the Philippine Revolt. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country.
Authorities have identified the Filipino who went missing after a 6.4 magnitude earthquake hit Taiwan Tuesday night. The Manila Economic Cultural Office in Taiwan identified the missing Filipina as Melody Albano Castro, a caretaker in a nursing home at Hualien City. Castro is purportedly one of 56 people trapped in a 12-story apartment that collapsed due to the massive earthquake. Another Filipino worker was hospitalized for minor injuries, but the person had been immediately discharged and was not identified. Meanwhile, a 5.7 magnitude aftershock rocked Taiwan late Wednesday. At least 7 people so far were confirmed killed in the earthquake. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Here's another look at today's headlines. COMELEC announces it is nearly ready for the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections this May. FIVOX observes Mayon volcano as lava flow inches towards the permanent danger zone. A House committee invites former President Noynoy Aquino to the next hearing on the Dengvaxia controversy. The Commission on Appointments confirms Francisco Duque as Health Secretary. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and all that it is doing for the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And before we go, let me leave you with a quote from Aristotle. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. And that's your daily dose of the hottest news and the latest information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.